There is a seal order on Titan, one sentence, absolute, irreversible. Do not let the Emperor leave the Golden Throne. Not even if he asks, not even if he begs, not even if the throne itself fails and the palace burns and every soul of Terra is screaming for it to end. The Grey Knights hold this order. They had held it for 10,000 years, and they will enforce it against anyone, Custodes, Primarchs, the Emperor himself, anyone who tries to break it. And that is the Terminus Decree. Not a plan for victory, not a contingency for defeat, a prison sentence for a god. So let's talk about this. This is not a mystery or a riddle anymore, it's a command. Sealed within the Sanctum Sanctorum of Titan, the fortress monastery of the Grey Knights, passed from the Supreme Grand Master to Supreme Grand Master since the chapter founding. It was written by Marcator the Sigillite, acting on the Emperor's direct authority, during the final days of the Horus heresy. As Horus closed on Terra, as the Emperor prepared for a duel he might not survive, as the Imperium faced the very real possibility that his master would fall, Marcator knew that what was coming. He probably knew that the Emperor would be placed on the throne, and he knew what would happen after. The pleas for death, the offer for mercy, the arguments that the Emperor was suffering, that the sacrifice was too great, that the Psykers were dying for nothing. He knew someone would try to end it, so he wrote the Terminus Decree. One sentence, delivered to the Grey Knights, the one chapter that has never failed, never hesitated, never questioned a command from the throne. The order: the Emperor does not leave the throne, under any circumstances, for any reason, by any hands. Not the Custodes, not the Primarchs, not the Inquisition, not the High Lords. If Guilliman himself walked into the throne room and declared it was time to let his father die, the Grey Knights would stop him. That is not a metaphor, that is the order. Someone might think this is unnecessary. Who will try to remove the Emperor from the Golden Throne? He will die, right? But the answer is, more people than you think, and for the reasons that are harder to dismiss than you want them to be. For example, the Compassionate. 10,000 years, 1,000 Psykers sacrificed every single day to feed the throne. 365 million souls consumed, and there is only counting the ones who reached the throne room, not the failures, not the one lost in the transport, not the black sheep that never arrived. Some in the Imperium might look at the number and ask, is one life even the Emperor's worth for this? They do not say in public, the Ecclesiarchy will burn them for heresy, but they say quietly, in the chambers the Inquisition cannot hear, among Medicae who has seen the Psykers go through, among officials who have read the logistic reports and done the math. If one of them ever gained enough power, if a High Lord, an Inquisitor Lord, a saint, decided mercy was the greater virtue, they would try, and the Terminus Decree exists for them. Then we have the ambitions. The Emperor cannot rule, he cannot speak, he cannot open his eyes, but every law in the Imperium traces back to him. Every High Lord serves at his pleasure. Every decree carries his authority. A living emperor who cannot act as a useful emperor, but a dead emperor, a martyr, is even more useful. A dead emperor cannot be contradicted. His final words become whatever the survivor says they were. His legacy becomes a weapon. If a High Lord ever decided the Imperium would be easier to control without the silent presence on the throne, without the possibility that the Emperor might one day speak, they would try. And the Terminus Decree exists for them too as well. But there is something even more dangerous than that. Remember that the Emperor nearly became the Dark King. During the Siege of Terra, in the final moments of his duel with Horus, the Emperor did something that has been buried by every official record, every sanctioned history, every Exarchical sermon. The Dark King is not a myth, not a fragment of forbidden lore. It is a prophecy, and it was almost fulfilled. In the warp, belief creates reality. 10,000 years of worship by trillions of souls does not leave the being unchanged. The Emperor was the most powerful psychic in human history. He was already more than mortal, already a presence in the materium so vast he blotted out the light of the lesser soul. And when the vengeful spirits, wounded, dying, facing the son who had betrayed him, he reached for that power. The kind of power that does not come from the discipline, from training, from will. The kind of power that comes from the warp itself. He did not take it, he pulled back, he refused the transformation. He accepted mortality, accepted the wound that would put him on the throne, but the potential never went away. The Dark King is what the Emperor would become if he died. Not a martyr, not a saint, a chaos god, the fifth ruinous power. The god of tyranny, absolute order enforced by absolute domination. Not the Emperor who as he was, the Emperor as the warp would remake him. Worshipped, fate-twisted, unrecognizable. This is not speculation. The prophecy is recorded in fragments across the Inquisition's more restrictive archives. The Grey Knights know it, the Custodes know it, and Markador knew it before anyone. The Terminus Decree is not a mercy protocol, it is not a safeguard, it is a containment order. The Emperor cannot leave the throne, because if he dies, he does not simply die, he ascends, and the Imperium gets a new god, one that could end humanity as we know. But here is one question nobody asks. How? The Grey Knights are the Emperor's gift, psychic warriors, demon hunters, incorruptible, everyone a legend in waiting. But they are Astartes. The Custodes are to Astartes what Astartes are to mortal men. Faster, stronger, built from a different template, gene crafted individually, each one a unique work of art. They are not a mass-produced, they are not drawn from a gene seed line. Each custodian is a singular creation, perfected over centuries. The 10,000 have stood at the Emperor's side for 10 millennia. They know every corridor, every choke point, every angle of fighting the most fortified structure in human history. The Grey Knights would have to fight through the Imperial Palace against warriors who know it better than anyone alive. And then there are the Sisters of Silence, the Anathema Psychana, blanks, soulless. Every Grey Knight is a psychic. Every Grey Knight draws their power from the warp. Against the Sisters, their power means nothing. The Grey Knight facing a Sister of Silence is not a demon hunter anymore. He's just a warrior in ceramite, against women who have trained their entire lives to kill things exactly like him. The Custodes have numbers, they have position, they have the Sisters. The Grey Knights has a piece of parchment. How does the Terminus Decree actually work? If the 10,000 in their love and loyalty choose mercy, how do the Grey Knights stop them? If the Emperor really moved, how do the Grey Knights make sure that he won't move again? They do not have the positional advantage. They are weaker. They do not have the counter for Anathema Psychana, and yet the order exists. Which means one of two things. Either Markador knew something about Grey Knights that nobody else knows, a capability, a contingency, a weapon built so deep that even the chapter itself may not be aware of it, or the Terminus Decree was never meant to be enforced. Not a battle order, not a military directive, a statement, a declaration to the Custodes, to the Imperium, to the Emperor himself. If you try this, we will resist. Not because we will win, because someone has to. And the Grey Knights are the only ones who can be trusted to try. So okay, if the Grey Knights cannot actually enforce the Terminus Decree, if the Custodes and the Sisters of Silence could overwhelm them, and then what is the point? The point is this, someone has to say no. Not because it will work, because it is right. The Emperor must not leave the throne, not for mercy, not for ambition, not for faith. Not even at his own command, because the alternative is not death. The alternative might be a fifth chaos god, and making everything the Imperium was built to preserve. The Grey Knights know they might lose. They know the Custodes unmatched them. They know the Sisters nullified them. They know the Imperial Palace is not their ground, but they will fight anyway. So there is the knowledge that some orders matter more than survival. Some lines must be held even if holding them means death. So the throne is failing, the warp stirs, the Dark King waits, and somewhere on Titan, the Supreme Grand Master holds a box that contains the most impossible order in human history. So tell me in the comment, what would you do? Would you hold the line, or would you let him rise? Again, thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.